Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRnradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRnRadio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRnRadio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRnRadio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars. Come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risked their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has, when you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo? You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
I take a breath, I'm not gonna lose. This is what I came here to do.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host. Favorite host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
And good evening, good Sunday evening on this time change Sunday. I know some of you have been all stabby about that today. I have to admit, for some reason, I feel more normal in daylight savings time than I do standard time. Which I guess is good because now daylight or standard time lasts like 4 months now. So I guess it's good that I feel more in sync for the 8 months that we're in this one. Because the last 4 months have been terrible for me. In between the winter coming down with the flu at one point and seeming like it never really wanted to go away, and then just kind of feeling run down all the time and still trying to work all the time to boot has been fun. But I don't know. It's like the second I woke up today, I felt like a switch had been flipped. Like I've done I did 12 hours worth of work in 5 hours today. Only for this week. Only for this week. Since they moved the I was just like, wait, you're doing the Sunday thing again? Only for this week. The ladies of the red wine aren't back yet, and since I won't be able to do the Monday night thing because of the fact that the Spirited Books podcast got moved to tomorrow night, I decided to go ahead and fire one off. Also we'll have our bonus America Off the Rails this Wednesday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I have a guest for that one, which is another reason why I'm doing this one. Because there's just been too much going on not to talk about. I have a roundup of some of the stuff that's been happening with the Sunday shows. Some of these things you probably won't like any more than I did, But something else that I saw today, and I just couldn't believe that I saw it. Apparently, some of this student debt stuff is still happening under the Trump administration. I was not aware of this. I'm finding more and more issues where I find myself outside of the 20% rule that I told myself I was going to try to keep. And I don't really know how I feel about that. So we're going to be getting to that tonight. Also, Canada has a new prime minister, which kind of makes me sad because that means Justine Trudeau will probably be leaving the news. But that actually happened. It looks like so basically, Trudeau had said, "Hey, once my party elects a new leader, I'm out." Canada has voted for former central bank governor of Canada and Trump critic Mark Carney to be the next prime minister, as he overwhelmingly won the vote to become the Liberal Party's next leader. Current PM Justine Trudeau announced his resignation in early January. The extremely woke Trudeau has faced all sorts of controversies during his tenure, and most recently has been the target of U.S. President Donald Trump, who is imposing tariffs on our neighbor to the north and laughing that it would make a great 51st state. So Carney told the cheering supporters that Canada will never become part of America. Big talk, had boy, big talk, in any way, shape, or form. Carney received 86% of the vote, or 131,764 votes of the 151,899 ones that were cast from the early 400,000 party members who registered to participate in the leadership election. The new Liberal leader told members that they should be prepared to fight the most important election of our lives, where the stakes have never been higher. Dun, dun, dun. So, yes, the Liberal Party of Snow Mexico, sorry, Amish, I'm stealing your thing there, has a new leader. Now, the question is for how long? I don't pay attention to Canadian politics, and I don't really care. What I find is so amazingly funny to me is there's all this information about all these different tariffs that they hit us with on a daily basis. But when you start trying to point all those out, oh, you don't really understand what that means, and it's not what you think it is, and yada. I don't care. I just don't care. Look, one of the things that has never made any sense to me is most countries use tariffs to protect their industries within their own borders. So why is Canada tariffing our cars? Does that sound like something a trade partner would do? Really? Because I'm kind of curious about that. Does that really sound like something a trade partner would do? You know, we're supposed to have this um, new replacement for NAFTA, which I know. It was brokered by Trump, but I'm telling you this, and I've said this a lot. It was the best deal that he could get at the time, and he wants better now because we're still getting hosed. Not to mention the fact that Mexico, and we all know this, is primarily run by the cartels. That's why the Mexican president is freaking the hell out because all of a sudden somebody's paying attention to the fact that the cartels are basically running amok in her country, and she can't have that. But this is the world that we live in today. We have to start facing reality. The realities are there are going to be some things that Donald Trump wants to try to do that I'm not necessarily going to support. There are going to be other things that I will completely support. But that's what it takes to become an engaged citizen in America, actually paying attention to politics. If all you're doing is going, everything he does is awesome because that's my guy, then you're probably not really paying attention. No matter who you're saying it about. And that's a hard position to take in this country these days because if you are not sycophantically on one side or the other, then you're automatically a traitor. So yeah, I like I said, I saw a story today that kind of piqued my interest. We're going to get to that after the break. Before we get into the break, let's take a quick spin around a recap of the Sunday news shows because those were fun. I know these things I watch so you don't have to, but that's why I watch them. So let's take a look at all of that real quick. And again, this is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson, and we are going to start what I'm going to start calling the Sunday news spin. Not because it's being spun, but because we're taking I don't know. It's a working title in progress for the segment. Don't judge me too harshly. So What we are going to do is try to make sense of a country that's speeding towards the edge with no brakes. That's where the title for this show came from. So it's Sunday, March 9th, and it is time that we take a look at the news cycle. So I spent my day digging through the Sunday morning news shows so you didn't have to. You know, those polished talking head circuses on CBS, NPR, Fox, and the rest, plus scrolling X and sifting through social media circuses on and footage to see what's really going what's people's got what I'm sorry, footage to see what's really got people buzzing. Spoiler, it's a mess out there. No surprise. Just saying. So here's a good one. So first up, let's talk about something that's all over X today. Congress wants Medicare to shell out $1,500 a month per patient for Ozempic. So, for those of you who don't know, that's a weight loss drug. Everyone's obsessed with it. I caught this on Face the Nation this morning. Margaret Brennan was grilling reps Brian Fitzpatrick and Tom Souzy about it. Over 100 lawmakers are behind this bill, saying obesity is chronic and is a chronic condition in America, much like diabetes. And we should treat it that way. So, is that a fair point? But we've got the other part of that problem too. So, this is all over social media, and everybody's screaming, why are taxpayers footing the bill for what's basically a lifestyle choice? They're pointing to side effects like bone density loss and stomach issues, saying this could be a health disaster of its own down the road. So, my problem with all of this is look, I mean, you can see me right now. Look, I am no picture of health. You can see this, you got these, you got I used to have 3 chins, now I'm down to 2 because I am slowly trying to work on losing weight. But I say all of this to you because while Ozempic may work for some, the biggest thing we need to do is start fixing what we feed ourselves. And before you say anything, no, I'm not talking about Robert F. Kennedy and his new push to ban a bunch of things. I think what you need to do is create a system where you allow each product equal access, and then you find out which one people start buying. Because I guarantee you, if people started having access to real unprocessed food again, and they realized that their body could process it better, and they started feeling better, guess what they would start buying? But the thing that nobody wants to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is this. The cheaper the food, the more processed it is, and the more affordable it is, then the more likely people are going to be to continue to buy it, which leads to all these chronic health issues. Think about this for a second. They want you, the American taxpayer, to start paying $1,500 per person to help with a weight loss situation that can be fixed just by taking a lot of the stuff out of our food that really shouldn't be in it in the first place. Or even if you're not going to do that, allow a company to come in and create an alternative version to the food that doesn't have all the extra crap in it and let the market decide because that's what I'm about. I'm about letting the market decide because that's what makes sense. Because here's the thing, one of the reasons high fructose corn syrup is used as much as it is for all the things that it's being used for is because it's heavily subsidized. So it's cheap. Sugar's not as cheap anymore. Real sugar, cane sugar, beet sugar, none of that. So they don't use it as much because because one, it's more expensive to make the products. And that's just nuts to me. But that's just one example of all the things that we could be doing to make things better instead of relying on our government to pay for a drug that will likely cause issues further down the road. We now live in a time where everything they told us was going to make our life better when you and I were kids. There's now commercials about if you were exposed to this or if you took this, you might be eligible for a settlement because this stuff never gets done properly. It never has. And I'm not trying to downgrade or degrade any of the agencies that are behind it. Not really, because it wouldn't fix anything even if I did. Yeah, kind of surprising. Zelda's in the chat. Yeah, I'm awake, and it's a day ending in Y. Who could have foreseen this? I mean, you being awake is not that rare. You being awake and alert, possibly. Oh wait, did I say that? Oh, my bad. All right, so let's see. We've got one more quick hit we can take on this, then we'll go ahead and take the break. So, did you guys hear about this? There's footage trending all over X of protesters outside Capitol Hill holding up signs like "No Big Pharma Bailouts," tied to the same thing. A bunch of grainy, shaky clips. But the anger is real, and here's the kicker: some users are alleging half the bill's supporters have cozy ties to the parent company. Big surprise. So there's no hard proof on that yet. So let's not get that ahead of ourselves. But it does kind of have that swampy DC smell going on. So I don't want to say I'm torn because I'm really not. I don't think this is the way to go. I think we need to fix our food. I think if we started actively fixing our food and putting out alternatives that don't have all of the high processed flour and the high fructose corn syrup and all of the other seed oils and everything else that we know are actually terrible for us. I'm not saying they need to be banned. I'm saying let's start the process to put alternatives out on the market and let the market decide. I mean, would it really be that hard? That's it's just my question. Would it really be that hard to do that? All right, so let's take a quick look around the news feeds, and then we'll get back into the Sunday cycle on the other side of the break. So the Justice Department is launching an investigation into the price of eggs, and there's definitely mixed reviews going on with this one. So President Donald Trump's Department of Justice is investigating the recent surge in egg prices, raising concerns about possible price fixing and anti-competitive behavior within the industry. According to a report from the Wall Street Journal, this investigation comes as consumers face record high costs for eggs, with some retailers reporting prices exceeding those from even a year ago. Egg producers will likely be scrutinized to determine the cause behind the price increase, including the bird flu outbreak, which has led to nationwide egg shortages. The DOJ said last month that it would consider investing nearly $1 billion to address the high egg prices after the U.S. Department of Agriculture said they would or could possibly rise by 41% this year. Egg price hikes are mainly due to a bird flu outbreak, which has culled 160 million birds since it began in 2022. The department also said it would allocate 500 million to poultry producers biosecurity measures to help ward off the bird flu impacting their flocks. If you guys would just stop calling all the birds and let natural selection do its thing, none of this would be happening. Dude, I've been telling everybody since Friday. Everybody's all surprised. Even Jeff posted Saturday that we were going to have a full lineup again. But yeah, I'm back. This is kind of probably a one Sunday only thing. What's probably going to start happening, at least for now, because the ladies of the red wine aren't back. This is for the new folks in the chat, because I've got folks just joining us. So on the Mondays that there is not a Spirited Books, America Off the Rails is going to run, and it also runs now on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern for now. On the weeks when there is a Spirited Books on Mondays, I will probably dust off America Off the Rails. I'm also working on getting an actual news panel show going earlier in the day, so we'll see what happens with that. Still waiting on feedback on that one, but those are just kind of some of the things that we have going on. But anyway, we are pretty much at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and take a break. I know it's a bit of a weird timing because we got a late start, but I'm trying to keep as close to station clock as possible. We'll be right back. My name is Rick Robinson. This is my show. We're going to continue the Sunday spin around the news shows after the break. Stay tuned.
listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez. Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on Freevee.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Jordan Klinger, an attorney at McIntyre Law. The decision to hire an attorney after you've been injured is important. The decision on who to hire is even more important. At McIntyre Law, we will settle a case if the offer to our client is fair. Partial justice is no justice at all. At McIntyre Law, we are committed to obtaining full justice for our clients. Contact McIntyre Law at 405-917-5200 or visit us at mcintyrelaw.com.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
I see JD hanging out again has had an impact on a few people. That one took me a second, Al, but I got it. Terrible, terrible old man. Just kidding. It's probably why we're friends. All right, welcome back into the program, ladies and gentlemen. This is the America Off the Rails show, usually Monday nights at about 10:30 Eastern, and then Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. For this week, we are on Sundays because of Spirited Books, and because now that I'm back on the time zone where I don't feel like I'm out of sync, I actually feel like there's work I should be doing or something. Anyway, so we're back. We're live. Let's dive back into the spin around the Sunday news segments because, of course, the next segment we're going to be zooming out just a little bit more. So let's go into the world stage at this point because on the Sunday shows like NPR's Weekend Edition and Fox News, they were all over Donald Trump's latest moves. Apparently, he's been on the phone with Putin, pushing for a Ukrainian ceasefire. Apparently, he's also supposedly been negotiating directly with Hamas. But I don't think reaching out and saying shalom can mean either hello or goodbye and you get to pick is necessarily a negotiation. So I don't really know why everybody's making such a big deal about that one. But so he's been pushing for Ukrainian ceasefire. There are clips all over X showing all the talking heads debating whether this is genius diplomacy or Trump just winging it again. And of course, that kind of depends on your slant. CTV's question period had Vasi Capellos asking if this is tied to his Thursday night executive order. Get this. In case you missed this, he's creating a cryptocurrency strategic reserve. So yes, he's using seized Bitcoin to build some kind of national stockpile, all budget neutral, whatever that means. So social media's a split screen on this one. You've got MAGA folks posting memes of Trump as a crypto king, stacking digital gold bars, while others are sharing dash cam footage from Kiev, smoke rising, sirens blaring, saying, "This isn't a game, Don." So we're going to continue digging into this because it's wild. Trump's playing, according to some, Trump is playing 4D chess while the establishment are still clutching their pearls. But here's my question. Is this about peace, power, or just another shiny distraction? The NASDAQ's in a correction. Tariffs are rattling markets. Maybe he's betting on crypto to keep the economy from derailing. So the reason I asked that question is so I can get your thoughts. I have my thoughts on all of this, and we're going to get into that right now. Look, I think what's happening, and the first indication of this was in the jobs report that came out earlier that was released for February, where while the numbers weren't quite what they expected, 92% of the jobs that were created were actually in the private sector, not the public sector. It's been 15 years since numbers were that high in the private sector as far as jobs being created. This is huge. This means that for the first time in over 4 years, the private sector is growing and the public sector is shrinking. And it's growing in a way that we haven't seen in 15 years. Now, is it going to continue? I suspect yes, because you're seeing all of these companies that are starting to figure out, hey, if I just build stuff here, Trump's going to let me off the hook with the tariffs. And I guarantee you part of what's happening is as soon as they put ink on paper about what they're going to do, he's probably going to start relaxing those tariffs a little bit to cut them a break as an incentive to say, hey, now that you've done this, we'll ease this a little bit. And then it completely goes away once this place is up and running. That's what I would do. I mean, I'm not him, so I'm just guessing, but I know that's what I would do. I'm just saying. So the other thing that I've noticed, and speaking of things all over X, and I'm sure this probably came out on the Loftus Party for the weekend memes. It'll probably come out on Twitchy tomorrow for the Monday meme madness. So you're welcome to check out both. But the JD Vance memes have been nuts. And the funny thing is, depending on which side of the aisle you're on, you either think they're making him look retarded or just super funny. So I'll let you guys decide. I think it's cool that we have a vice president who's becoming a meme, especially in good ways. You know, unlike that that choose your fighter video that we may or may not play later. I haven't decided. I've already talked about it on some of the other shows that I do, and I don't really know if I want to bring it up again. And everybody else is talking about it anyway. This is something else that's gone through all the Sunday shows today. And again, depending on which hat you have on, you think it's either awesome or terrible. I, for one, think it's one of the cringiest things that I've ever seen. And the Trump response video to it was absolutely amazing. Because they were like, hey, America already picked their fighters back in November, but you keep doing you, bro. So yeah. So let's take a look around the headlines again, see if there's been anything new that we can get into. Let's see. I was trying to find the story I was looking for. About student loan forgiveness. But I can't seem to be finding it now. Oh, so this is kind of a big deal. So this is from Susie Moore at Red State. Starting to present a united front, Charlie Kirk endorses Trump's budget strategy. With a March 14th deadline looming, we knew a continuing resolution or CR to temporarily fund the government through September was in the offing. On Saturday, House Republicans released the text of the proposed measure, a 99-page stopgap bill, described as a pretty damn clean bill, even by those who aren't noted Trump supporters. Now, the other reason they're using a CR, and I'm just going to break this down for you guys, because I know a lot of you that have R's behind your name, anytime they start using CRs and all these things, you're like, why can't they just pass a budget? Well, let me explain it to you. In order to do that, with the way everything is right now, especially with as partisan as everything is right now, the only way it's going to happen with the way things are configured right now is if somebody basically stiffens their spine and says, you know what, we're going to kill the filibuster for now, because that's the only way it would ever pass the Senate right now, because they wouldn't get enough votes to get it to the floor. They just wouldn't. So the reason they're using the CR is because this frees up a process called budget reconciliation. So the House passes a bill, the Senate combines their bill with the House bill. Everybody makes sure everything matches up and they're equal by the end. They basically get combined and then it gets put in and the president can then sign it. So that's why they're using this particular tactic, because there's no way they're going to get the 60 vote threshold. And honestly, there's still a good chance the Democrats may let the government shut down. I still think it's funny because all of a sudden the Democrats are like, we're going to shut down all the things because Donald Trump wants to shut down some of the things. You know what? Let them hang that albatross around their neck. Let them. So we've got a clip from Chip Roy about some of this stuff. I'm going to get it queued up for you guys real quick. Hang on. Hey, Dave. It's been a while, man. How you been? All right, so hang on a second. Let me get this queued up for you guys. I'm fighting with my computer. So much fun when that happens.
Do you think the Democrats are going to try to really focus on shutting down the government to slow down the effort specifically of President Trump using the executive power and Doge and what Musk is doing?
Yeah, they've certainly said they would. Now, whether they would do that or not, I'm not 100% sure. I can tell you that if we give and pass out of the House and send to the Senate a truly clean freeze in spending, send that to the Senate, I don't think they can do it. I want to call their bluff. If they want to go shut the government down and try to tell President Trump that he shouldn't continue to do what they're doing through Doge, for example, finding duplicate Social Security numbers, finding a $32,000 transgender comic book to Peru. Right? This is the kind of things that we're funding. The American people are sick of it. So we want to give the president the runway. We want to give Russ Vogt the runway, Elon the runway to do their job. Democrats want to stop it. Our job is to keep the lights on to allow them to continue to expose all this to the American people, because we're winning minds and hearts that this whole town, the swamp, has been wasting their money. And we need to change it, and we've got them on our side. You saw the president at the State of the Union address, or I should say the joint session address, right, where he rattled off about, 20 different things that were absurd. And the American people are going, wait, why is this happening? So we in Congress should empower the president and his team to do their job.
Sorry about that. I'm typing in the chat and thought I had more time. But yeah, I was responding to Dave because back on the JD thing, he's like, it even became a lot more fun when he started playing along. I think that's one of the things that I absolutely love about JD Vance is he just rolls with everything, because it's kind of what I do. People start trying to trash talk me, whatever, I just kind of roll right into it. So to this point, I think this is a very important thing, because one of the things, if you'll notice, the Democrats are trying to do is they are trying to derail Doge by killing the CR, because they think if they can do that, Doge basically dies in a fire. The problem that I think they're going to run into is Doge is pretty popular. Elon Musk might not be, because a lot of the media bias is there and people are hearing it. And I know, because I talk to people all day long about it. Text messages, phone calls, everybody's like, I can't believe you're still supporting that Nazi. Even people that used to be on the side of Elon are like, you realize he's kind of a Nazi, right? No. But anyway, so this is going to be threading a needle. But the thing about it is, the more Republicans get on board, the easier it's going to be, because they don't have to worry about the 60 vote threshold to make this thing happen. And that's why they've started trying to do things in the fashion that they've been doing them. And I, for one, I still firmly believe, with as popular as Doge is and everything else, if the Democrats are so convinced that they can shut everything down to try to get rid of Doge, that needs to be the spin that everybody in the administration starts working with and saying right now, because that's just insane to me. All right, so we've got another clip that we're going to get to real quick. Hang on. I didn't realize that was set up that way, so sorry. Maybe I didn't think it was set up that way when I was looking at it a minute ago. Sorry, I'm fighting with my board. Hang on. I guess it doesn't really matter if it was, but I didn't realize I was on camera, so I wasn't paying any attention to you guys. So if it looked weird, that would be why. All right, so this happened the other day. And if I mentioned that I absolutely love her hotness, I'm sure I've mentioned that before. This is kind of a long clip, but we're going to run it anyway, because we started late, so it's not as late as it feels like on my end.
And one more thing before I wrap up, because I do want to get to these meetings, and I will see you all at the EO signing later this afternoon. I would just say that you brought to mind California and North Carolina, who continue to be on our hearts, and the president and this administration are committed to ensuring that these individuals get the funding that they need. And I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything. And in the last 4 years, this federal government did nothing to help them. This president will continue to put Americans first. And I think the successes of this week so far speak to that in its own.
All right, so I recognize this is an older clip, but I wanted to say this or play this on purpose, because this goes back to everything that we were just talking about. We may come back to that and finish some more of it in a minute. But this inspired me to talk about a few things, because this is exactly what we're talking about. Again, Doge is a very popular concept in theory. The problem that we have is Republicans are not doing a very good job of explaining that theory in practice, and they're letting the left run away with the narrative. Well, they're coming after grandma's Social Security. They're coming after grandma's Medicaid. And I understand that Donald Trump is saying they're not, but you have to understand, most people that are on that side of the argument do not believe Donald Trump. So it doesn't matter how long he says it or how often he says it or how many times that he says it. They need to start producing something that proves this is what we're finding, this is what we're going after, this is what we're trying to show you. Start putting together a paper trail, evidence with data that shows all of these things. And I promise more and more people will start coming on board because he's gotten a lot of support just from the little bit that we know about. But the problem is there's just so much more there. And I've been saying this, and so is Data Hawk on Rush Hour Rebellion. If we don't start going in and start taking care of all of the stuff that's gone wrong inside the alphabet soup agencies, whether it's funding that's been used for wrong things, just the fact that so many of them feel like they're not beholden to anyone anymore, none of this is going to matter because we can cut all the surface stuff that looks good and makes everybody feel good. But if we don't pull it out by the root and get rid of it once and for all, it's all going to come back. And this is why I was kind of upset the other day when Donald Trump said, okay, I think we do need to start using a scalpel with Doge. Now, I kind of understand why he did that. He was taking one of the Democrat talking points away from them. Well, we're not really going to use the chainsaw anymore because we're going to start using a scalpel. But the problem with that is, even though it may not have been what he meant, it looks like he's walking back from something. And that's the perception. So that is technically a procedural win for the Democrats because we went from, I want you to be aggressive, I want you to cut everything you can cut as fast as you can cut it, to, well, we're going to start being more surgical in what we cut. Even if it wasn't what he meant, that was technically a win for the Democrats. So that's why I said Friday that that was probably yet another unforced error for this administration. Now we're only, what, 50, 51 days in, and there have been very few. The problem is, since there have been so few, the ones that are made are glaring because you're like, you guys were doing so well. So when they do show up, it's noticeable. And when it does happen, it's noticeable. Apparently, my neighbor's dogs are having a fit, so now my dogs are having a fit. I hope you don't mind the extra noise. All right, so let's go back to this clip. I'm going to let a little bit more of it play.
Only Wednesday. Garrett, great to see you here today.
Thank you. On Gaza, the president has spent basically his entire public career criticizing foreign entanglements, nation building, sending American troops to fight abroad, particularly in the Middle East. This plan seems like it could ultimately involve all of those things. Can you explain this reversal and how building and owning Gaza squares with America First foreign policy?
I would reject the premise of your question that this forces the United States to be entangled in conflicts abroad. The president has not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza. He has also said that the United States is not going to pay for the rebuilding of Gaza. His administration is going to work with our partners in the region to reconstruct this region. And let me just take a step back here, because this is an out-of-the-box idea. That's who President Trump is. That's why the American people elected him. And his goal is lasting peace in the Middle East for all people in the region. And as I said in my opening remarks, we've had the same people pushing the same solutions to this problem for decades. And it's been made very clear to the president that the United States needs to be involved in this rebuilding effort to ensure stability in the region for all people. But that does not mean boots on the ground in Gaza. It does not mean American taxpayers will be funding this effort. It means Donald Trump, who is the best deal maker on the planet, is going to strike a deal with our partners in the region.
All right, so the reason I wanted to let that part play is this reason. So again, this is an older video clip, but if you've noticed in the last couple of weeks, there's already been development there. So Israel has already said if it comes to that, they will help clear out Gaza. Now, again, I don't necessarily think this is what Trump is 1,000% going for. I think Trump has a different angle because this is what Trump does. He comes in heavy-handed and says, this is what we want. This is what you're going to give us. And then he usually gets them steered closer to what he's actually looking for and then moves forward from there. Now, I could be wrong. There could be Gaza-Lago before anybody knows it. But even if there is, it'll have very little to do with us and more to do with the partners. But again, this is going back to something that I said the day this story broke. This isn't necessarily about us taking over Gaza, cleaning it up, and making it, making Gaza great again. This is about making the partners in the region that we have realize that they have to do something. The same thing is happening now in Europe because we have taken a step back. Europe, in some ways, is starting to fund their own defense again because they hadn't been for a very long time. And so the funny thing is, the left is taking this victory lap about, Trump's being owned in the EU because they've decided they don't need us anymore. Well, that's funny because we decided we don't really want them anymore. So I don't really care that the left thinks we're being owned by the EU because the EU is suddenly going to start stepping in and paying their bills. Because that's the thing, and I've been saying this on this show and every show that I've done, especially ever since the USAID stuff broke, and we had all these little countries that were like all of a sudden 70 and 80-year-old women were dying because America wasn't able to pay for their oxygen supplies or this, that, and the other anymore. And these countries were places that supposedly had socialized medicine. And it occurred to me that in between us paying for the world's defense and us through places like USSAID, which is what I call them now, funding medical stuff, etc., we have been providing the rest of the world the social medicine utopia that they look down their nose upon us for not having. That is the exact definition of insanity to me. Pardon me. We have been supporting the world's lifestyle instead of taking care of our own people. That is insane to me. All right, so we are coming up towards the end of the program. Couple of quick hits here. This was a new one on me. This is from Matt Vespa at Town Hall. So a former top aide for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, otherwise as I call her, the occasional Cortex, had kind of a surprise. And so this is a good question. So is this going to be investigated or not? The culprit has escaped. That much has been confirmed. It seems that a top aide for the occasional Cortex, Democrat New York, was an illegal alien. That person is already self-deported, but he was given an $80,000 a year salary. These are pre-Department of Government Efficiency expenditures. This fiasco only bolsters why Doge is needed. Also, one would classify this as a scandal. I mean, I would think so. So an illegal immigrant who once worked for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez campaign has moved to Colombia in frustration over the pace of progressive immigration reform in the United States. It's bittersweet. I hadn't left the country in 23 years from age 7 to age 30. Diego de la Vega told Migrant Insider. Now I can't go back to the U.S. It feels like exile. It's a very permanent move, but my wife and I are confident we made the right decision. And after some time, it's been a real pleasure to be here. De La Vega came to the U.S. when he was 7 years old, but ended up illegally overstaying his visitor's visa. Protections are going away regardless of who is in the White House. The strategy hasn't adapted to the modern era. He added Biden had a trifecta, the House, Senate, and White House, but dropped the ball. Despite his illegal status, Diego de la Vega had no trouble rising in the ranks of the Empire State Democratic politics. From 2019 to 2021, he worked as a special assistant to former Harlem Assemblyman Robert J. Rodriguez. He also interned for U.S. Rep. Carolyn Maloney. He signed up with AOC in 2022, holding various positions before rising to Deputy Communications Director, a post he held until December, according to his LinkedIn. Diego is amazing, Occasional Cortex told Migrant Insider. We love him. Reps for AOC did not respond to requests for comments from the post. So this is exactly the kind of stuff they told us wasn't happening. I mean, my other question is, why isn't this a huge story? She was paying him $80,000 a year. How was she paying taxes for him if he's illegal? That's my question. Because these are the things they told us weren't happening. These people that are here illegally don't have access to the social security numbers and all these things that they would need, or everything else, or whatever they need to be able to get employment. Well, apparently this guy did. I mean, she's paying him $80,000 a year for how many years? And he was involved in other campaigns for how long? This is all money that should be paid back. Al just said it. This needs to be paid back with interest. The problem is, Al, it's not just AOC. This guy has been in politics in the Empire State for a long time. And as far as we're told, remember, according to the left, these things don't happen. So I have a huge problem with all of it. I just do. All right. So as we get ready to wrap things up, we've got one more quick hit. So, we've got one last hit on the Sunday news circuit, and it's the tariffs. And it's about your money. So, okay. So, yeah, we're going to talk about money. More specifically, your money. CBS News Sunday Morning and Face the Nation both hit on this today. Experts warning that Trump's tariff threats could jack up car prices big time later this year. They're saying by now, or they're saying buy now to save thousands because of those import taxes. And once they hit that $30,000 sedan, suddenly $35,000. So there was an X post going viral when I was looking through this today. It was a guy filming a packed dealership lot in Ohio, captioning it, "Panic buying before the tariffs hammer drops. Auto shaky, but you can hear the salesman in the background saying, 'We're slammed today.'" So, of course, all the shows trotted out all the economists who say it's not just cars. Everything from electronics to groceries could spike. But then Fox News had a guest arguing tariffs protect American jobs and the pain's worth it. So I have to ask you, do you think the pain's worth it? This is keeping in mind that it is likely going to be a temporary situation because, again, while prices through tariffs may be going up, we're starting the process to get fuel costs lower. We've seen interest rates starting to go down. So there are things that are going to help going to start offsetting some of this. And the funny thing is, I was even talking to my dad about it today, or with my dad about it today, and even he said the same thing that I've been saying. He said, "Yeah, your mom and I were talking about it today." He's like, "If everything stays on track, we figure it'll probably be about the same time next year when everything starts firing on all cylinders again, and everybody's going to be like, 'Holy crap, we didn't even know the country could do this anymore.'" And I agree. Look, the simple fact of the matter is, you and me as the consumer have been being raked over the coals by other countries for a very long time. They can't buy our cars in Europe. They can't afford them. There's 100% tariff on our cars in Europe and a value added tax to boot. They can't afford them. So, yes, while I wish we weren't having to do this, the simple fact of the matter is when your trade partners are treating you like trade enemies, what good is having trade partners? But again, this show is just as much about your opinions as it is mine. So feel free to at me at RowdyRick73. Email me, rick@klarnradio.com. But believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our hour. Just as a reminder, I will be off tomorrow. Make sure you guys come back for Rush Hour Rebellion starting at 3 p.m. Eastern with our very own Data Hawk. Come back later tomorrow night for... Went blank. Hang on. I got a ding in my ear and it threw me off. Spirited Books with Jeff and Aggie Reekin. And then I'll be back Tuesday afternoon starting at noon Eastern time with the Rick Robinson Show. Want to thank everybody for taking the time to hang out with us. By the end of the night, we had over 420 of you hanging out with us for a barely announced Sunday show that even my own crew was confused about. I will take those numbers any day of the week. Again, my name is Rick Robinson. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day or the rest of your Sunday. I know some of you are still mad about the time change. I promise it's going to be okay. I am the general manager around here. Please feel free to take a look around klrnradio.com, our X feed, our Rumble feed, our YouTube feed, and go find some of our hosts because trust me, we've got folks that are even better at this than I am. And that's complete sincerity. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.